Well, total environment, the real reason why we took off on something like this was essentially because we were really struggling with the contractors in getting kind of quality that we wanted. Always when we've been building, we felt that if there's a concept that we have developed as a design, when it's being implemented, if it's not implemented properly, then it's sort of the end result is not satisfying, right? It's like a half-baked thing. You see it and you feel this could have been much better, and you just feel that this is not what I originally planned. And so, after doing a few projects with various teams and building a few houses, doing a couple of other production unit in Pune, we just sort of got exasperated and said, let's put our own team together and build ourselves so that we are not dependent on all these guys. The other issue is that in many parts the industry is also a little is corrupt. So we found that there were guys who were undercoating and getting assignments, but then taking money from the contractor, and then we just felt that that's not something we're very comfortable with at all. So for all these reasons, we decided that it's much better we take up the project and then deliver the whole thing. So that was one aspect of just doing the construction. And when we started doing that, we also realized that if we now are able to identify land and build ourselves, where even the concept is by us, there isn't a client telling us that he wants it done in a certain way, it gives us much more freedom to do what we want to do in terms of design. And you're able to actually conceive of the whole thing and then deliver it exactly the way you want, right till the end, every aspect of it. So that was really the reason for the creation of Total Environment. That's how it happened. In terms of philosophy, again, now this is something that's not necessarily only architecture driven. If I wasn't an architect, the other thing that I definitely would have been a farmer. Okay. In fact, the only two choices that when I got through to IIT Kharagpur, which I was looking at, was either agricultural engineering or architecture, and that's because it's been a childhood dream to have a farm and to live. I just love nature and wildlife and all of those things. So when I finally did take up architecture, then even the designs have been about how to integrate it with nature and to always be able to enjoy nature in some form or the other. So that's been the driving force. Definitely has been a lot of influence of people like Frank Lloyd Wright, who also designed his buildings to really integrate with the site and with nature. Alvar Aalto, Bruce Goff and Bart Prince, those kinds of guys. In terms of inspiration, you asked about what have been the inspiration points. Besides the architects, there are quite a few whose works we really admire and gone and seen them, and they're very inspiring. Besides that, surprisingly, there are also companies and products like the Harley Davidson, okay, or the Apple products, which have also been an inspiration for us. So, because the vision of Total Environment has been to provide an unsurpassed experience through the creation of sensitively designed spaces. So, it's like you're trying to create the whole feeling. It's not about just the sculptural or not just the effect of what it feels like when you first walk in, but these are, and our work is mostly focused on residential. And so these are places where you're going to live for many, many years. So it also needs to be functionally performing well. You need to have everything working. Otherwise you start getting exasperated with things. This is not working. That it's a great place. It's got a nice ambience about it, but everything else also needs to work. So there's been a strong focus on ensuring that functionality, whether it's to do with the services, the right pressure in your taps or the right temperature, or to do with just functionality of your maybe hinges or doors or whatever. We have always sort of focused a lot of our energies on that. The third aspect that you spoke about was sustainability, and in a way that is linked to the first one of our philosophy of integrating with nature. And if you want to integrate with nature, nature needs to be around for many more years. You can't allow it to die away. So, I can't claim that we are experts in that area or that we have done a lot in that area. We're still learning. We're still trying to ourselves. We've created a little center of excellence for sustainable design in our organization. We are trying to understand for ourselves which are the areas that really make sense. We don't want to do sustainable design just for the sake of either getting a LEED certification or something. We don't want to do it just for that, or the carbon credits. I think those are the things that will follow in future as added benefits. But we want to figure out what is it, because we are into larger scale, right? We are building homes all over the place. So the impact it can have if we get the right things in place can be much bigger than an individual home or an individual project. So we want to figure out for ourselves which are the right areas to focus on, and in each one, what is it that really works. So for example, if you're talking about, say, solar, there are solar water heaters, there are a few solar lights, and you can even get photovoltaic cells where you can collect the solar energy and use it for other purposes. But combination of all this, what is it that will really work for us? So we're trying to work with these companies to figure out, in a typical home that we are building, what is it that we can always, as a standard, incorporate in the project. Similarly, whether it's to do with rainwater harvesting or green roofs, it's sort of trying to understand what are those things which make a lot of sense in terms of actually contributing, not just namesake where it's, if on a scale of 100, if something is making a difference of 2 or 3 and 2 or 3%, then we don't want to be spending too much energy on that. We want to do something where we have maximum impact. So the idea is to figure out which are those areas and then standardize those into our designs. That's how we're working on that. Shivani and Kamal Architects and Total Environment and the Imagine campus that we have set up or are in the process of setting up. Both the firms exist as independent organizations. Shivani and Kamal Architects is a design firm which designs the projects. Just like a typical architectural firm, it has a structural design, services and architectural design setup. Total Environment is a real estate development firm which buys land, acquires it, gets it designed by the design firm, and then gets approvals, builds and sells. For us, while they are two separate firms, they are also very integrated. They work with each other very closely. And quite some time back, we realized that we wanted to, have our own campus where we could do a lot of experimenting with materials, form finished concrete, brick patterns, whatever. Or even in terms of plants, we have a big nursery where we keep trying all kinds of stuff. So we have actually taken a slightly different approach to design itself, and this is a very, very nascent idea, but it's almost like looking at architecture like product design in a way. We have started when we're designing homes, and this is again driven by this whole issue of quality, the fact that so many millions of square feet of construction is going on in the country, but there is almost no trained